Welcome back, guys, to a new lecture. I've been absent for a long time. I know it's been months since I uploaded a long form video like a lecture, but I've had something really annoying, something really stupid called university. Fuck that thing. We're done with the exams. I fucked up the last one, and yeah, we're back in track with chess. I have been uploading shorts in the last period, and we've been taking over the algorithm of chess. I have done more than 1 million views in the last month with shorts. So yeah, it's been going well, and now we're back with the long form content. And last time we did the knights. This time I'm gonna take care of the bishops. We're gonna squeeze all the information we need from the bishops. Let's just get right into it. And from now on, it's gonna be lectures every 2 to 3 days. I'm gonna be uploading nonstop until I reach at least 1,000 to 2,000 subscribers. So let's just start. And if you're wondering, why do I look like an imbecile right now? Well, my eyes are really tired from the PC and the light, the ring light. And I study computer science, so it's also a lot of time spent on the screen. So I have to protect my eyes. If that answer is enough, then thank you for understanding. If you do not understand, then fuck you. Yeah, I shouldn't be saying that. But yeah, I don't want to wear them. Let's start with the first test of knights. We're going back to the knights with 2 tests. It's gonna be taking 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're gonna go to the bishops, just so that I can make sure that you guys remember all the aspects of the knights, how to place them, and when to move them and where to move them. So this is the first position, guys. I'm not sure we've done this position last time, but regardless, we're gonna do it this time. Look at the position. It's white to move. What would you play? Okay, the move here is simply g6. It's the best move. Why? Simply because it traps this knight, and it literally puts the knight in a prison for the rest of the game. The knight is dead. It's over for him. The possible responses for black is to take. That doesn't change anything because this pawn is protected by the queen and the knight is still dead. The other possibility is to push this pawn. Same thing. And the best alternative for the black pieces is to try to exchange the rooks by playing rook to f8, but that doesn't change the evaluation, as you can see, and it's the same thing. Black is fucked, and he's not gonna win this game because the knight is trapped. Let's see what is written about that. Let me see. So in the book we have okay, we can just skip all this bullshit. g6. White had the choice. Let me just okay. g6 white had the choice of several good moves, but this makes by far the nicest impression. If you played this to specifically entomb, to put it in a tomb, to entomb the black's h8 knight, then give yourself a pat on the back. And I will give you a pat on the ass. No. h6. Playing such a move must feel. So as a response, there is a third possibility. There's the first possibility, which is h6 in response to g6. So let me go back. Exactly. Okay. So there's the possibility of pushing this pawn that we already talked about. Instead of the rook, just to go here. Playing such a move must feel similar to slicing one's own wrists with a dull blade. However, black couldn't have been very excited by the lines like bishop to f6, rook f8 is better. So, yeah, it gives a devastating attack. Yeah, g takes h7, king takes h7, so on. That gives a devastating attack. Like if this happens, if he doesn't take for if this happens, it's still a devastating attack. So white is still winning, and the rook f8 is the best possible response for black. And he's still losing 100% because this knight is dead. And there's an attack going on the king, on the black king. So yeah, if you found this move, then great. If you didn't, it's not the end of the world. Of course, taking here is not a possibility because there's a knight. Maybe you thought about the fork, but there's a knight. You thought about forking the king and the queen, but the bishop, yeah, that's not possible. So next we have the next position. I think we did do it last time. It's a black 2 move. What would you play? Stop the video and tell me what would you play. So as you can see, guys, here there is a lot of tension in this position on the f4 pawn, because it's not very well defended, yet it is defended by 2 pieces. It is also attacked by 2 pieces, and it's black to move. So black is thinking now, all right, my knight is not great. My 2 rooks are trying to attack this pawn, but it's defended by 2 defenders. Can I add another attacker to attack this pawn? Well, it's not possible. Then can I remove one of the defenders of that pawn? Well, this defender, it's pretty hard to remove from there because it's defended by the pawn and it's far away from any other piece. So it's not realistic to try to attack this rook, or to deflect it at least. It's not realistic. So let's look at the other rook, which is the only other defender of the f4 pawn. How can we deflect that rook from the defense of the pawn? Pause the video again and try to find the move if you didn't find it. The only brilliant, best move here is knight, it's knight to b8. And the reason is, when you go knight to b8, you are preparing for the jump of the knight, to c6, which attacks this rook. And by attacking that rook on d4, the rook cannot stay on the 4th rank anymore. So it cannot defend this pawn, because these 2 squares are defended by this pawn, and these 2 by this pawn. And then when the knight comes here, then also this these two squares are no longer available for the rook to stay there. So we removed the defender, and we won the pawn. For example, after I play b8, white has no moves. It literally has no moves. For example, let's say it goes here. I think this is the only move maybe, but it's still bad. But let me check. Let me be 100% sure about it. I don't want to. So is this the move? Wait. Yeah, this is the move. This is the position here. It's between Teimur Rajabov and M. Slack. I don't know who the second one is. This position might fool some players into thinking that white is okay since black's bishop is bad and his knight doesn't appear particularly threatening. And doesn't black also have the worst pawn structure? Because it's 3 pawn islands. Okay, he's analyzing the position. These pro-white ruminations might appear reasonable, except that they fail to take into account black's pluses and the dynamic possibilities available to him. For instance, black is placing serious pressure on the f4 pawn, as we said, and if either rook were forced to move away from the pawn's defense, black would win a pawn and most likely the game with it. That's exactly what we said. And that is exactly we will play knight to b8. As you can see here, winning material by force. Who would have guessed that a knight retreat would have been so powerful? So after that we have king to g1. Okay, so it's a black to move. Black will retreat the knight here, as we said, to jump here and to attack this rook and to move it away from this rank, right? Okay, so if white sees this move and tries to protect this pawn with this push of a pawn, then this diagonal is becoming more threatening. So now black sees that and pushes this pawn. And now he wins. Because if you take, black will take and he will win a piece. And if you don't take, you have to go back with the rook. You have to leave this rank. So you have to go back. If you go back here, it's a fork because you push a pawn. So you go back here and then again you win the pawn. Right, you win the pawn. At least you win the pawn. You cannot lose as black here. You'll probably win. So that's why it is very important to find knight b8. Okay, now we're moving on to the next chapter, which is about the bishops. I hope you did both of these puzzles the right way. Let's move on to the bishop part. But before that, I want to read just a small reminder of what the knights do. There's just a small summary. So knights are minor pieces, as we said, along with the bishops, and are generally given a point count value of 3. Knights crave advanced support points, i.e. safe squares that can't easily be challenged by a hostile pawn. Since they are short-range pieces, having access to such a square is a huge part of the proper knight strategy. In short, the knight looks for these squares that are not protected by pawns. We called them, last time we called them I forgot what we called them. They are free squares that are not protected by pawns, and they are great for knights to jump in them, and for the long term, medium term, they're great. I forgot the name, but if you find a free square that is not protected by a pawn in the 5th or 6th rank, then you just try to put your knight in there, even if it demands rerouting. You have to put it there, do your rerouting, 2 to 3 moves, you put your knight there. It's not threatened by another piece, or it's not threatened by a pawn, then it is a great piece for the future. So knights gain in strength as they move further up the board. We already talked about that. Of course, the knight can be a defensive piece if it's in the 1st or 2nd or even 3rd rank. Once it moves up, it is a far more dangerous piece, and it is an octopus and a nightmare for your opponent. Outpost, yeah, the word is outpost. If you find a free square that is not defended by pawns and it is in the heart of the position of your opponent, it's called an outpost, and you have to put your knight there. So knights are the best blockaders of enemy path pawns. The reason for this is simple. Unlike other pieces, a knight that's sitting in front of an enemy pawn isn't losing any of its mobility. Advantage knight. Also, knights are short-range pieces, and that's why they are better to use in a closed-out position. So if you're in an endgame and you have to choose between leaving a knight or leaving a bishop, if in that endgame the position is open, then you leave the bishop. If it's crowded with pawns and many pieces, you keep the knight, because the knight will find an outpost and he can reroute, and it's a great piece. But also the bishops are very important in open positions because they can travel across the board with one move. Okay. Knights do quite well in close positions, as we said, because unlike bishops, pawns can't block them. Advantage knight again. If you hear a square calling out to your knight or see a beckoning glow, do everything in your power to get your horse there. It doesn't matter if you have to move forward, backwards, sideways, or a combination of all of these things to reach it. That's called an outpost, and you have to reach the outpost. So we did these tests, and finally we get to the bishops. Speed demons of the diagonals, I think. We're not gonna read all this bullshit, it's nothing. Okay, so let me tell you what you have to know about the bishops before we start in the positions. As you can know, there is a good bishop and there is a bad bishop. But we cannot be so general in our examination of a position in which there are, for example, 4 bishops. We have to be more accurate. So we have 3 adjectives for bishops: active bishop, useful bishop, and tall pawn. As you can guess, a tall pawn is the worst of them. Today we're gonna talk about the active bishop, and the next time we're gonna continue with both of useful bishop and tall pawn. The active bishop is outside the pawn chain and controls an open diagonal. So when you see a bishop that is outside the pawn chain and controls an open diagonal, then it is an active bishop. What do you mean by open diagonal? Open diagonal is a diagonal that doesn't contain a chain of pawns of your opponent or a chain of your own pawns. It also doesn't have many pieces in it. So that's an open diagonal, and the bishop controlling that diagonal has crucial benefits for you. The second adjective that we're gonna use to describe a bishop is useful bishop, which is a bishop with defensive or dynamic duties. It's not offensive yet, it's not controlling an open diagonal yet, but it is serving us with a defensive duty or dynamic duty. Dynamic means it can serve in the mid to long term if we do some exchanges, for example, or if we can use other pieces to unleash the power of the bishop, the full power of the bishop. And the last adjective is tall pawn. It is a useless trapped pawn that is basically it is a useless trapped bishop that is basically a pawn. It is imprisoned between pawns in front of it, so it doesn't have a scope and it doesn't have a useful function either. So today we're going to start with the active bishop. Let's read a bit from the book and then we're going to go to the positions. Okay. Give a bishop a diagonal that's uncluttered by soda cans, pans, its own pawns, or a solid, well-defended wall of enemy pawns, and we'll consider it to be active. This doesn't mean that an active bishop can single-handedly bring down the enemy position, or that it will even successfully mesh with the rest of its army. That's up to you and your skills at getting all your bits to work together for a particular goal. So having an active bishop is another piece in the puzzle that will help you win the game. It's not the only piece of the puzzle. You have to have a combination of advantages to win the game, and having an active bishop is one of these benefits. So we're gonna start with the first position. I'm gonna take these off. Okay. So the first position is... Okay, this is the first position. It's white to move. What would you play? Stop the video and tell me what would you play. Write it down in the comments or just think about it. Okay, I assume you have taken your time. The best move here It's white to, sorry, I didn't tell you it's white to move. Think again and tell me. Okay, the move here is c5. Can you figure out why c5 is the best move? It's a dynamic move. It temporarily might lose a pawn, but it is a great dynamic move. And the reason we played that move is to free up this square, this c4 square, for our bishop. After we move the bishop to c4, we have a formidable bishop. It is attacking the black king in the heart of its defense, and it creates a lot of momentum, especially with this great queen on the a1 square. So here black has two options. If black takes the pawn, which is a blunder, we can go to c4 immediately, but a better move will be to intimidate the queen, to move away, and then to bring the bishop to c4. So let's say, for example, let's say go here, the queen goes here, queen to e8 is the best. Then we can bring our bishop there, and now we are attacking this knight with two pieces, and soon it will be three pieces, and the knight will go down no matter what black does. That knight is dead. That's why we're seeing advantage +3 for white. Okay, so here we can continue, but it's pointless to continue because it's very clear that white will win. Okay, let's say black tries. Yeah, black doesn't have much to try, honestly. I'm trying to find a move for black, but I cannot find it. He's paralyzed. This knight cannot move. This queen is almost trapped, and okay, let's see what Mr. Silman thinks, but I think maybe black can play this move. Okay, it's saying e3 is the best. Yeah, so some counterplay, some miracle, but it will not work. Here white can simply, of course we're not taking that pawn. We might just go here. Or is it a blunder? Wait. Ah, then there's this. Wait. After pawn to e3, I don't think we should be taking because that gives him attacking chances. Maybe go here with the queen? No. Yeah, even taking is bad because it gives him the draw. So thinking about maybe we just take. No. Yeah, either way we're winning the knight, but I'm not sure about the move now. Let me think about it. Wait. Not the knight. Yeah, I'm thinking about the move, but here it's clear that white has a move, but I cannot wait. What if I just go up with the king? Hmm. Okay, this is the move. Okay, this is the move. Of course, if he takes, I'll just take. There's no threat, there's no check. If he pushes, I will just bring my queen here, I think. Or even better, maybe do this. Oh no, then he can take the other rook. Yeah, I think I just bring the queen here. But yeah, either way, you're completely winning. After this move, black doesn't have much to do. Yeah, maybe even bring this bishop here. Bring this bishop here to e6. Yeah, so a student of mine was playing white and he couldn't wait to show me this game. So this is a student of Jeremy Silman. c5, excellent, okay. D takes c5 is a blunder as we discussed. Let's see what is the continuation. This leads, it takes c5, this pawn taking. Yeah, so this, yeah, after c5, taking this pawn leads to annihilation. Because first you play this, first you bring the rook, first you bring the rook and then here and then here. This leads to annihilation because this knight is pinned to the king. These two rooks are completely dominating the file and soon they will dominate the seventh rank. And also this queen is pointing at this great diagonal. So it is going to be ending with a disaster, and black will at least lose this pinned knight. This leads to annihilation. He had to try rook a to d8 and then c takes d6. He had to try this instead. I think he had to try this, right? Exactly. This is better. This is more convenient for him than maybe here. Or take. Oh, wait a minute. Take. And then probably takes. Right. And takes. Then he takes. And here. Yeah, you just continue the game with a slight advantage here. But he did not do that. He did not bring the rook to d8. He simply took that free pawn, but it's not free, of course. It comes with a dynamic great play for white. So Yeah, so after he takes, let's say he takes the pawn, which leads to annihilation, as the author says. Then we have rook to d7 and queen to e8. Yeah, rook to d7, as we said, queen to e8, and then bishop to c4, rook b8. Bishop to c4, rook to d8, trying to exchange. Really? Bishop to c4, rook to b8, sorry. Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. Rook to b8, trying to protect this pawn, because I could just grab the pawn and then bring the other rook, so now you're protecting it. But I can still go here and double up on the 7th rank and destroy you and take the knight. Also bringing the queen here, bringing this here and this here. I will be attacking the knight with a bishop, 2 rooks, and the queen here. So it's not defendable. It's a lost position, basically. So after bishop to c4, rook to b8, queen f6, and b5. So after that, you have queen, exactly, f6 and b5. B5 trying to kick the bishop away. It's a smart move. He's trying to kick the bishop away, but we just play this calm moves that keeps the advantage for white and keeps the pressure on the knight. Next, we're gonna take the knight after we bring the other rook, and it's GG's basically. Yeah, so that's the next position, and this shows us that sometimes you have to look at the position and say, my bishop is not a great bishop. I cannot go anywhere, almost anywhere. But this bishop can become an active bishop, an active bishop if I open the way for the bishop. So I give away a pawn, but I gain a lot by putting this bishop on c4, because I open this file, but more importantly, I'm pinning the knight to the king, and I have these two great pieces controlling the two most important diagonals in this game. So yeah, even if he didn't take the pawn and played something like this, it's still way better for white. Okay, next up is a position that wouldn't really happen in real life, and the author says it, but it just shows how important the bishop is, how important the fact that with a single move you can reach the end of the board with the bishop, but you cannot do it with the knight. So this emphasizes again on the importance of choosing the right pieces for the endgame. In this type of endgame, you would rather have the bishop than the knight, because this pawn is very far ahead and you cannot catch it with a knight. But you can catch all of these pawns with a bishop, and actually white is winning here, because you can just push and black is not in time to stop you, and black has nothing to do. So if after white pushes, you cannot do anything. If you push here, I'll just take you. Then push here, take you. You have nothing. So this shows again how important well-placed bishop is. And even though black has 7 pawns, yeah, or 6 pawns, you can even add a pawn here. I think there's a pawn here also. The pawn here doesn't change the fact that the king is far away from stopping this. Yeah, exactly. This is the position. The king is far away from stopping this pawn, and there's not one pawn from these that can be sacrificed, for example, to make a new queen for black. And we can read a little bit here. The author says, wait a second. Okay, this is a highly exaggerated situation, but it clearly shows the bishop stamping the whole b1 to h7, b1 to h7, this diagonal, with the brand of its authority. Nothing may safely step there, while in the meantime, white's lone pawn after d6 pushing the pawn will waltz into d8 and make a new queen. Exactly. So yeah, the next position that we have is this, and it's white to move. Try to look at the position. This is the position here. It's white to move. Assess the position and tell me what would you play. Stop the video and tell me what would you play. So the best move on engine here is queen to e4. Why? Because it threatens checkmate. Sorry, it threatens checkmate on h7. The way to think about your next move is very simple. Do I have a check? Do I have a capture? And then do I have an attack? In this position, first there's nothing threatening us, and then there's nothing for us to capture that is meaningful. You can capture the pawn, but it's not meaningful here. We don't have a check on the king, on his king, so we would think about creating an attack. And actually, queen to e4 to queen from e2 to e4 is a great move by the analysis because it creates that attack that is very hard to stop. So black, how can black stop this this attack here? First instinct would be to push this, but that's a great inaccuracy because this active bishop is waiting for the opportunity to shine, and he will take here, threatening this rook. If the rook moves, then there are a lot of great moves. You can go here, for example, with the queen, preparing for sacrifice. Here, and then here, and checkmate is coming. So it's not the right move to push this g-pawn. What would you play? What is the best defense here? Well, the best defense, I hope you found it, is pushing the pawn to f5. And of course, the only meaningful response for white is to take with en passant. Here, black can take with 3 different ways. The only one that makes sense is taking with the rook to create some air, some luft for the king to run away after this check with the queen. Sorry, this check with the queen. Otherwise, it's going to be very bad. So, for example, if you take with a pawn, then it's mate in 1, right? If you take with this bishop, yes, you can run here, but it's gonna be very, very ugly for you because first of all, I can take here. Also, I can just bring the queen here and keep torturing you, and then maybe take oh, not take, wait, maybe here bring the rook here, maybe. Yeah, a lot of ways to end this in an ugly manner for black. So the only real move is to take with the rook here so that you can run to f8 with the king. And here the best move, I think, is not to go ahead and immediately give the check. The best move is to bring the rook to e1 to put pressure on this poorly defended pawn. On e6, it's only defended by the rook, so it makes sense to bring the rook to attack it while giving a check. And here black actually played a great move, which is knight to a5, if I'm not mistaken. Exactly, knight to a5 is the best move, because now this bishop is lasering the queen and the knight. And if you take the bishop, of course, that's a blunder because the knight defends it. So here, white, I think, went and gave the check. Exactly, gave the check on h7. Black can only run away. He cannot run away here. It's a blunder. So he has to run away here. And after that, there is a great move here. So stop the video and tell me what is the great move for white. Well, the best move in this position is the magnificent rook to g5. It's a brilliant move. You might be wondering why. Because if you simply take check, knight jumps in with check, and you will try to run away, for example here, and then it will end very bad for you because it's checkmate. And if you don't run there, for example, go here, then there is a very beautiful line. Let me remember it here. I think you go here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you take with a knight, and here, here black cannot do anything but take the knight. It cannot do anything. And after it takes, you're not obliged to take with the rook directly. You can go ahead and give the check. And when the king runs, you take again. And this is completely lost. This is completely lost for black. This is destruction, annihilation. The player that is playing with black will go home very frustrated. And he would probably beat his wife. So now we're kidding, YouTube. Yeah, I shouldn't be saying this on YouTube. So yeah, actually here, the best move is not to take the bishop. The only move that keeps a small chance for black is to go to g8. And here, I think you simply take, and then black takes the queen, then you take, black takes, and then you go back to e4, and you force the exchange of this bishop. And after the exchange, it's two rooks and a knight against bishop and knight and rook, and it's winning, completely winning for white, as you can see from the analysis board. So this is again underlines the importance of having great great bishops. If we go back to the beginning of this position, black's bishops are bad. This bishop is decent. It's not decent. It's a bad bishop because it's blocked by this pawn, and this bishop is it's not an active bishop. It's a useful, according to our definition, it's a useful bishop that can become active, but now it's not active. Contrarily to white's bishop, to white's bishops that are both very active and very dangerous, and we use them to create an attack that is very, very hard to stop. As we said, if he goes here and here, and it's GG's for black here. If you go here, I'll just if you go here, I'll just simply go here, and I will sacrifice in the next move. And if you do not push this pawn, you play a better move, which is the best move here, which is going to f5 with the pawn. I take with en passant. The best response would be to take with the rook, but then I bring the rook here exactly to put more pressure on this pawn. Then you try to be smart with knight to a5, which is honestly a magnificent, great move, very smart move. But then I can simply go ahead and give the check. The king runs to the best square, which is f7. But then I play the immortal, great, unstoppable move, bishop to g5. It's a very beautiful move. If you take, you're done. Here it's checkmate. And if you go to the better square, which is e8, it's even better. A knight takes e6 is a great move also. The only thing you can do is take. If you don't take, let's say you run with queen here, then there's checkmate, I think. This here, check, and then there's here, and then you bring the bishop to g6, check, and this is checkmate. Sorry, this is checkmate, because you cannot do anything. You cannot put the rook here is pinned, and this is a very beautiful checkmate. So this underlines, guys, the bishops are great, can be great pieces. You have to keep them in opened endgames, and if you have better bishops in the middle game, you have to keep them opened. Do not block your own bishops with your own pawns. That's the stupidest thing you can do ever. We're gonna actually finish with something from the book about that. Second. Exactly, these are the two rules that are very important. We're gonna start with the second one. Every time you move a pawn, check to see how it affects the activity of your bishops. Obviously, turning an open position into a closed one will have a serious effect on these pieces, so train yourself to always take the health and care of your bishops into account. Each pawn move has to serve your bishops. You cannot push a pawn and blockade your own bishops stupidly. So for example, if in this position here, white played some stupid move that would blockade the bishop, for example. If white played this, it would be a terrible move. Look at the analysis bar, because he blocked his own bishop. So it would be very, very, very stupid. Yeah, or for example, if, let's say, for example, this bishop was here, and this pawn was here, and then I went and pushed it here. So I stopped the scope and I blocked the scope of my own bishop. That's stupid. When you're playing a pawn move, make sure you're not killing your bishop in the way. So yeah, that's it for today's lecture. I hope you liked it, and if you did, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys very, very soon in a new video. Yeah, fuck off. Ciao.